is a very interesting idea, so that then when his paranoia becomes even the slightest idea that there's truth to his paranoia, then it becomes everybody like, and he becomes this magnanimous person that people can follow, and then you have opposing forces. I like that Dana wants to build this. It's just the way that it's executed, to go again to the new films and listeners who've seen them. With the first one, you can completely see where that main character, I won't even say the character's name because I don't want to taint Richard at all.
Don't talk about Richard's taint.
I will talk about Richard's taint at any time I want, but I think that, that film does a great job of setting up its character, giving it a reason that it needs to change, and then others follow it. The problem is, I'm not even sure that I understand with the insertion of that scene you just said that's enough for Caesar's leadership abilities to permeate throughout the entire ape community, so that when they just see him,
they obey him. Yeah,
and now
it would make sense why Caesar touches Aldo's shirt front before going down into the command center.
Yeah.
from last week. There's all these moments that are just that were never filmed. And so they're trying to make this
or they
leap.
were filmed and maybe they were cut. Who knows? They
may
have been.
Well, I will say this: whatever. I don't know if this is the editor's choice or the director's choice, but all of these moments that you're about to see between Lisa and Tamara, with Frank and with the busboy and with the seller, they're spanned over like 4 pages in the script, and they're all not in any of the script order. They're all moved upside down. So, like for example. It starts off on the surface, the same busy brightness as earlier, except as we watch that little things are going wrong. And each time they do, Caesar moving around the area is somewhere in the shot, willing the wrongdoer to misbehave. We never have that setup. We jump straight to Lisa. We were supposed to have the moment with Frank lighting the cigarette for the woman at the cafe, but that doesn't happen till later on in the minutes. Instead, we go to Lisa, who's the next scene. Lisa, the pretty chimp, comes out with a new book, Empress of Love for a Mistress. But after walking only 3 paces, she sees Caesar. She stops and drops the book. That's the first scene we see of Caesar getting somebody to react. So a director and editor thought, okay, Lisa's as close as connections since we haven't established the Aldo one. We'll start with her.
And I think that would work. If, I'm sitting here listening to all this. We talked before about how most storytelling conventions, especially visual, are in 3s. If you do it once, you do it the second time. By the third time, the characters learn it and they move on.
And that's also a rule of comedy.
Right. And were it to be that Caesar, the first time, let's say it's Lisa, he encounters Lisa and she's carrying something. And if he were to hold his hands up and then move them away, almost like telling her, drop it, she dropped it. Bam. Then some other apes look on. We have to have apes looking, right? Then he does something to another person where you see him just move his hand like that and they knock something over. Well, then by the third time, enough apes have watched it and begin to do it on their own. Then Caesar's looks can be, oh, he just wants me to disobey. But there's nothing in this moment that says, when Caesar looks at me, my leader is telling me to disobey the system. They just needed to set this up visually.
You're right. It would have been good to see Caesar react to Caesar start something, have an ape mimic, see other apes see it, and then mimic, because otherwise these apes are just doing this with thing. Let me just say something real quick. Lisa has the worst toss ever. That was that was that book about poop.
Wait, are you saying she throws like a girl?
Oh my God, I just watched it. You're so right. She takes that book and just sort of with one hand and goes, flip.
Yeah. Now, see, again, this would have been where if Caesar, whenever he found out Armando died, had some files in his hand as he was walking away and then just dropped them, she could be imitating what he did earlier. But they give us no sense of time of, all right, so he ran off into the night. It's the next day, we're assuming, and then all of a sudden all these apes are rebelling with him. It would have been better almost if you had seen him doing little small acts of rebellion in the offices. So he goes back to work and he misfiles something, or he tears up some papers, or he throws something away that's important. And you see Lisa's, the other apes see him messing up, but the humans don't do that because, they're stupid humans and worry about their human stuff and don't see that the apes are starting to rebel against them.
And if Caesar gave a nod, or if he smiled, when it goes to that idea that if I even use my hands to simulate, throw the book down, wad up that piece of paper, and then if I nod, that's how animals learn. Is that we all know that with our dogs, you give them the praise, they want to do it again because they want it. Well, Caesar's that person. He's leading his troop of dogs, and he needs to tell them good dog. But all we get is telepathy Caesar, where he just looks at them and they go, oh, boom.
Oh, I'm supposed to be rebellious now.
Well, we have, the gorilla that dumps the trash. So when Lisa's walking and she sees Caesar, they do this kind of what kind of shot is it? Where it pans and the wall becomes blurry as it kind of gets over to a swish pan.
Mm-hmm.
We do the same thing with the next moment. Mm-hmm. So we're supposed to assume he's using his telepathy. The swish pan now represents his mental capacity to tell his ape to disobey, right? Because they use the same thing with the outdoor ape tossing the trash, but that wall is nowhere in between him and Caesar, as far as I can tell.
Caesar found the one corner that can see everywhere in the entire city.
That's what I was noticing too, because when you said that, Richard, so I'm watching the secondary swish pan, and Caesar is in it's the exact same shot.
Yeah, he's just standing in that same corner. He can see everywhere in the city.
These guerrilla filmmaking, and I don't say that because we're watching an ape thing, but the idea that you are running and gunning, and these are simple setups. That shot where the ape is sweeping up garbage could so easily be done. You've already got that set up. You could just have Roddy walk into the frame. You can almost do it very Sergio Leone Western-like, where you see just his legs in the shot, and they walk in, and the ape sweeping, and he looks up, and then all you have to do is literally come around and grab a shot of Roddy just going, knock it over, something like that. That's how you tell that story. But the swish pans, I don't get them, because that's not usually what you use a swish pan for, especially to build a sequence like this. And especially not to cut in closer the next time, not even to give me a different shot of Roddy. Good Lord, use a rubber lens and zoom that damn thing in and get 2 shots.
Well, how full? Let me look at this real quick. Where does this movement? Oh, this movement ends with the trash dump. Okay.
Yeah, he's jumping on the trash.
Okay, I was about to jump in the next minute because it's also another one of those cuts. You're like, what? Well, not swish pan, but still a cut. Right. Yeah, so we have got this minute is basically 2 acts of was the scream, the daytime, and the 2 acts of uprising. Lisa and the trash gorilla, right?
Trash gorilla. Yep, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we're visually telling stories, and I love that, but we're just not telling them very well. We get what the script wants, but it doesn't explain away. Maybe this era of filmmaking explained it, but for us, it's a very disconnected delivery of a leader telling his people to rebel.
Right. We needed something. We needed him interacting with a group of people or having apes mimic him to understand what's going on. But otherwise, it's just him. And he seems to have lost his anger. He's just kind of nodding. Yeah. Yeah,
and that's a good point. Were he to more aggressively tell that ape to knock the garbage over, if we saw him pushing his hand, mimicking what he should do, and then the ape doing it, that's anger.
Exactly.
That's I'm showing you how to do it. These are just passive rebellions that they somehow know to do. So in other words, the apes were smart enough all along. They just needed Order 66 to be enacted and stupidly follow it.
Oh, that's the in-between.
All right. I think we're at the end of that minute. You guys got anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. We will be back tomorrow. Please check out all of our social media stuff. Richard's out there with Zeus Comics. You can find him. Sean doesn't do too much social media anymore. It is what it is, but we love hearing from you guys. Hit us up. Let us know how you're doing. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
The Minute of the Apes.